Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with an interesting Twitch supplementary guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at Twitch with crit items. So we're not going to go full crit, because full crit on Twitch is not really that amazing, right? So we're going to go first into 2-hit items and then into crit. And you will see that in the top players, no one is really using this build, and this is actually a build suggested by one of the commenters in one of my Twitch videos. In my Twitch updated complete guide, someone did suggest to go for our last 3 items crit. And I thought I would take the suggestion and just try it out. So if you guys want to comment as well, I might try out your build, right? But let's get straight into it, right? So first off, we're going to start off as usual with the Berserker's Greaves. Of course, it's very important for Twitch to stack up his poison in the early game. And then you're going to go into Bork, right? So you don't want to go into Terminus simply because you want to go for more reminder later on. So you're going to go Bork into Runan. So Bork, of course, gives you the on-hit current health damage, gives you attack speed, a little bit of AD, physical vamp, and the drain passive, all just kind of general good stuff, right? And then obviously Runans, you get a lot of nice effects as well, on-hit damage, AD, attack speed, etc. Of course, the most important one here is the fact you can attack 3 people at the same time, and this of course allows you to stack up your poison onto 3 people at the same time. And then you start going into crit, right? So obviously with crit, you want to go for the best crit items, right? So that for me is going to be Bloodthirster, right? So you could technically go for something else like a Phantom Dancer or some like a Slurry Charge Blade Blaster, some kind of attack speed item here. But I think that, you have 3 attack speed items already. You have Lethal Tempo, you have Alacrity. Why not just go for raw AD, right? Because Twitch is really not the best in terms of damage. Let's just go for raw AD. So Bloodthirster, large amount of AD. You get physical vamp as well. And then by this point, the enemy team is really tanky, so you want to go for more reminder for the armor pen and the grievous wounds. And your last item is going to be IE, just to put yourself at 75% crit and give you a boost in terms of your crit damage. Now this will not let you hit 100% crit, but I think that this is probably the best way to go. Now if you get to the very late game and the enemy team is not very tanky, you could technically sell Bork and then buy a 4th crit item to put yourself at 100% crit. That kind of works as well, but I think for the most part this is the way to go. So your runes is the standard ADC loadout. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the loadout, the runes nowadays. I'm literally repeating the same thing every single video. Then the spells, you go for Flash together with Cleanse if there's CC, or Ghost if there isn't. Right, with that said, now let's move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, so now let's hop into the gameplay itself. Of course, this is going to be a pretty exciting one, and the reason why I say that is because basically every Twitch game is going to be kind of exciting, because Twitch is by far the worst ADC in the game. I honestly cannot believe that Riot is not giving Twitch some buffs, right? They've buffed like Samira, they've buffed Draven, but even Samira and Draven are better than Twitch before the buff, right? So I'm not quite sure why Twitch never gets buffed. Maybe his win rate is not as horrible as I think it is, but his play rate is basically like non-existent, right? No one plays Twitch, so maybe only the Twitch 1 tricks play Twitch, and Twitch's win rate is actually decent, right? That could be possible, because after all, Twitch does have a lot of kind of small tips, that you can kind of go for. All of the stealth plays, especially that basically only the 1 trick would probably utilize. But yeah, so in this game, we have a Seraphine, and we're against Nami and Caitlyn. Now, this is kind of a horrible lane to play against, because obviously Nami and Caitlyn are both excellent pokers in lane, and they can, poke you out real well. Now, fortunately, they're not really attempting to do that, so we're still kind of at full health, and we have a Seraphine, right? So Seraphine does do decent poke herself, right? But of course, Seraphine's main selling point right now is, of course, the double W, or just a single W with all of that healing and shielding. Although it did, of course, it did get nerfed, right? Quite recently. Right, 1 or 2 patches ago, it did get nerfed because Seraphine was a little bit too strong, which is something that I kind of always suspected for a long while. Seraphine, for some reason, is always criminally underrated. Like, even when she's strong, people don't think she's very strong, so she generally never really has a very high play rate, especially in the full support kind of role. Like, people who play her support often build her damage, or people in the mid lane often build her damage, but not a lot of Seraphine players play her like with the full support build, which I think is what makes her really strong. So here, nice gank comes in from Amumu. Amumu flashes over, finishes off the kill. We got in there to get a little bit of damage off to contribute to the kill, and also, of course, nab ourselves that assist. So really nice gank from the Amumu. Now, a lot of times if you're playing jungle, if you know how the lane matchup kind of goes, which in this case is the fact that Nami and Seraphine should be pushing, then a lot of times you can kind of predict it. And here, Nami overextends a lot, so we're trying to actually run her down. Now, I tried to get off as many autos as I can, even taking a tower shot for an additional auto, but I simply don't do enough damage at, like, level 3, so we're not able to complete the kill. But back to my point, like, if you know how the matchup is going to go, a lot of times as the jungler, you can kind of predict the matchup, and then you can go to the lane that you think is going to be pushing, something like that. Like, obviously, you would know that a lane like Caitlyn's would obviously be pushing and things like that, right? So yeah, you kind of want to go there and take advantage of that, right? So here now we've gotten the kill. We're back to lane. This is the stealth play I was talking about. Obviously we're not very successful in doing it, especially getting hit by a Caitlyn Q. So that wasn't really the best, but especially when you have ult, that's a lot of the times the way Twitch gets kills, right? You have an overextended ADC or even a support taking plates, and you stealth in behind them, and then you just blast them, and they have to kind of walk past you in order to kind of get to safety, and you're gonna have the range and the lane to just run them down and just murder them, right? We might even see this later on in this game. I think we might see later on in this game, like, I have played this game some time ago, and I'm only recording it right now, so I don't remember all the fine nitty-gritty details. Now, fight is kind of happening in the mid lane, but I conclude that there's no real point in going to the fight, because you can see that basically Amumu is already dead, and Lysandra is dying. And honestly, even if we did follow the roam, by the time we reach there, you know, she would have died anyway, so it wouldn't really have mattered. So instead, we're gonna take this opportunity to get some farm and to push the lane in, which we basically have not been able to do the entire game, obviously, because we are the lane with less priority, the lane that's going to be losing here if the enemy team plays correctly, which may not necessarily be the case. Now here, Seraphine gets off a combo onto the Nami with the ulti as well, but obviously at this point I don't really have the damage to kill the Nami under tower. There's no way that I'm gonna get that kill, so I'm not even gonna waste my time at popping the ulti. I'm just going to let it be. Now here we have Kindred coming in for the gank. I'm stealthing away, running, and you can see now that Amumu is apparently pinging that he's on the way, but he's got a blue buff instead, so don't get baited by your jungler all the time. And here Nami gets caught, right? So Nami is now really low HP. I'm popping the ulti. I'm just trying to blast the both of them. However, they're a little bit too far away, and we don't actually end up getting the kill. But we do end up getting a lot of damage. Now Kindred here is coming in for the gank, but she's alone, right? So we're 3v1 against her. She pops the ulti. She's trying to survive. But we're going to maintain our distance, and Amumu picks up the kill once again. It would have been nice to get those kills, but getting assists is way better than dying, so I'm not going to be complaining too much. I'm just going to try to farm up these minions and then get a reset and start building the components of our Bork. Yep, so there we go. Now Ahri roams into our lane. Now she's stuck in basically a 1v4. She has nowhere to run. No ulti here, no flash. Easy kill. We finally get our first kill of the game, being 1, 0, and 2. So here we get both of the components of the Bork. And now we're heading back to the lane. Really close, of course, to getting the Bork that we need. So here you can see Caitlyn is overextended pushing. She only sees Seraphine here because we're invis, and we're trying to sneak up on her. Seraphine misses the ulti, pretty embarrassing miss, but we're still gonna try to run down the Caitlyn. We haven't popped the ulti just yet. Now we're popping the ulti at max range, and then we finish off the kill there. So yes, the ulti does give you a little bit of additional stats, like a little bit of extra AD, but I personally think that if you don't need the ult, you don't have to actually use it. There, I basically blasted Caitlyn until she went out of my range, and then I popped the ulti to get the extra range, just to get the last like 2 or 3 autos in, and then I could pop the E to finish her off under tower, and there you can see we get the kill. Now, honestly, sorry to say, but Seraphine basically didn't really contribute all that much to that kill anyway, so that's almost like a solo kill onto the Caitlyn, so yeah. So now we're going to reset, we pick up the Bork as well as a dagger. Now we're going to roam a little bit Or we might roam a little bit, maybe not, because no minions to farm, no champions to attack. So here we're gonna try the same trick again, right? This time we don't actually have ult, right? But we do have our Bork, right? So we're gonna go behind Caitlyn, and then we slow her with the E. Now she's trapped into the wall. We eat a Q though. Now, fortunately, this time Seraphine is actually here to save our life. Now, I honestly think if Seraphine wasn't here, we would have been in a little bit of trouble there. I think Caitlyn probably would have 1v1 killed us there because we didn't play very well, but this time Seraphine does pay off and does actually save us and help us to complete the kill onto the Caitlyn. Now our ult is back up, because obviously we did not use that ult onto the kill on Caitlyn. Now here Amumu is coming in. Now we're in a 3v3 with Kindred now also joining the party, and Ahri here as well. Lysandra now here making it a 4v3, and Caitlyn is now just respawning. So here with the numbers advantage, we can try to push in the lane, which is what we're doing here. Maybe attempt to force the tower, maybe a fight might happen. So here you can see, trying to bait enemy team into the river where Lysandra and Amumu are going to destroy them with the CC. Kindred pops the ulti, but jumps out of her own ulti for some reason. We're pelting Ahri, but Ahri, you know, is not going to die so easily at such high health. So here we're just trying to get some autos in, just popping the E just for that extra bit of damage, seeing as we cannot really get off any more autos onto them. And Bessa now going into the backline, looking for the Ahri, ults in on Ahri, kills her. We get the assist as well, 2-0 and 6 right now. And here, my team might be going for the Caitlyn, but I don't think it's really worth it. I'm just going to go ahead and back and get myself just a little bit of items and head back out into the map. Now the fight actually continues. And now I'm making my way back to the fight that I just left, and Bessa is still going on to the Nami. Now, importantly, I don't hit the plant here so that the enemy team doesn't know I'm here. Now, they're chasing Bessa in. They run straight into the Seraphine CC. Here I block the bullet for the Mbessa, but she dies to Kindred anyway. However, we get the counter kill onto the Kindred, making it an even trade. Very important that even as the ADC, you should try to block the Caitlyn ulti if you are high enough on health. Now, I have to say, I have blocked Caitlyn ulti at full health and ended up dying from the subsequent burst from her teammates before. So, you know, you kind of a little bit of your discretion, right? I wouldn't really blame you if you never want to block Caitlyn ulti, because I have died from full health before, as I mentioned. Now, here I run straight into an Ahri charm as Amumu uses the ulti as well. Now, I pop my ulti as well, but I'm not really going to be able to get enough damage onto anybody here. One of the Twitch problems there is the fact that you will get tower aggro. I run straight into the bubble from Nami. Now, I really can't really do anything here. I'm taking a lot of damage, and I can't really do very much here. Now, unfortunately, I make the mistake of not backing away. I was kind of thinking that maybe I can get something done, but you can see that basically all I end up doing is kind of walking around, appear, and then get one shot, right? So that's not what you want to be doing as Twitch, obviously, right? You do, of course, want to pick your moments and go in, which is what I was trying to do there. But honestly, in that fight, kind of could see the writing on the wall where Caitlyn was just free firing for the longest time, and I don't really have the tankiness to 1v1 her in terms of auto attack. She does have a Bloodthirster, whereas I don't really have the best 1v1 kind of build against Caitlyn. At least I have a Bork, which is good against tanks, but not really Caitlyn. I have a Runance, which is good in team fights, but not on Caitlyn in particular. So yeah, not really the best. So here Amumu is chasing onto the Ahri. Ahri has a Kindred behind her who's now getting chased as well. Speaking of getting chased, we have Lysandra chasing into past the tier 1 tower, and she dies for it. By the way, guys, this Kindred mark has been up here for the past couple of minutes with no one actually taking it. So I'm not sure if I'm even denying Kindred mark by taking this. I mean, I am, but the fact that she has not even tried to get it means that, am I really even denying anything? But anyways, yeah, we do get the Grump, which removes the Kindred mark. However, Caitlyn is on vision there. She's going to be pushing in, and I don't really think I win 1v1 against Caitlyn, as I mentioned. She does have 2 items, same as me, but her items are far superior in the 1v1 compared to me. And by the way, Garen is split pushing, and he's gone the inhib already. So you can see that the rest of the game, this broken inhib is going to be a major issue. The enemy team has a 4k gold lead, they have an inhibitor, and although I'm personally doing pretty well, 3-1 and 6 with the most gold on my team, followed closely behind by Amumu, you can see that Kindred is more fed than me, and Garen is way more fed than me. Caitlyn is also on par with me, so we have a steep hill to climb in terms of winning the game. So here Garen is continuing to push in. We're gonna 5-man collapse on him, which is a little bit overkill, but we really need to get rid of this split push problem, right? Garen is getting away, and the fight kind of breaks up into 2 fights where where I finally get the shutdown to Garen very crucially, and the enemy team gets is coming in from the other side. Now here Amumu gets a pretty huge ult, and now we're trying to wipe the enemy team with them all kind of chasing into us, and now returning the tables onto them and chasing them. Now here I'm gonna chase the Nami because I don't think we need like so many people to kill a singular Ahri. Nami is not running for the hills. She's just slowly but surely dying, and she goes down. Right at this time, Baron Nashor has spawned, and this is the huge goal swing we kind of needed. We aced the enemy team. We're going to be able to get the Baron for free, seeing as literally the entire enemy team is on gray screen. No chance of enemy stealing the Baron at all. We're going to secure the Baron before any of the enemies even spawn. And this is the kind of turning point of the game that we really were looking for. So here, I'm going to quickly clear up those minions, get the reset, get the Bloodthirster components. We're really close to Bloodthirster itself. And Amumu denying the Kindred mark there. Our tower situation is kind of trash at the moment. But yeah. So here, we want to try to join up with our team and push. Now, ideally, when you have Baron, you don't really want to be taking jungle camps because that's kind of a waste of your time. You want to be pushing lanes and such, but if your team is not ready to push, then taking jungle camps probably is going to be the best way. Here, I'm coming into mid lane in stealth so they can't actually see me coming. I'm trying to see if I can get an angle. Now, here is not really the best because I'm kind of in the front line here. Seraphine gets a huge ult into the Mbessa ult, and now I'm just blasting everybody for free. I'm no longer the focus here. So what turned out to initially start not very good turns out to be fine in the grand scheme of things. Caitlyn trying to escape flashes over the wall. Here I try to E Caitlyn, and Caitlyn getting killed by the poison maybe? No, not quite, right? Caitlyn has the poison on her but doesn't actually die. That was a real close one. I thought we'd get the kill on Caitlyn there with the passive poison, but honestly if you don't build any AP, the passive poison doesn't do all that much damage. So that's kind of understandable, right? So here Garen, super tanky member of the team, shuts down the Amumu, trying to hold the line for his team. Here I'm just blasting. The issue, of course, is the fact that we have the Twitch Poison, which is going to proc here. Now here I'm just blasting the Garen, who's really low HP, but I don't really have any armor pen at the moment to deal with him. I do have the Bork to deal with his health, though. But yeah, not really the best situation. Now here Nami loses her mind, decides to chase into 3 people, trying to stop my back. It ends up just becoming an int, and Nami's going to be going down. We get a free kill onto her. Yeah, that was really questionable by the Nami. No teammates were behind her at all. She really just ran into us with no backup whatsoever, right? Here we're going to pick up the Stasis. Really important pickup. Of course, to avoid Garen ulti, for example. Getting one shot by Ahri or Kindred. Really good pickup from for that. Here, Third Dragon is up. Third Dragon doesn't really matter. But we're going to attempt to do it anyway. Now, I feel that now we're at a point where we're even in terms of goal in the enemy team. We are winning fights. We've won the last couple of fights. So I do think that a team fight at Dragon would be more beneficial to us than them. I feel like their win condition at the moment is really just Garen split pushing. Like, Garen is doing a very good job of has done a very good job of split pushing the bot lane. He's doing that again. He probably should be pushing the top lane though, because Baron is going to be the next objective spawning, and you know, you want to draw people to the opposite side of the map where you're conducting your split push. Right, so here Ahri looks like she's about to get caught out by Mbessa. Is indeed the case. Ahri is trying to ult away, but it's not really working. She's getting chain CC by my team, and she ends up going down right before Baron spawns. So here once again denying the Kindred mark. Kindred is doing pretty well in terms of goal wise, but she's not doing a very good job of farming her marks, so which of course is a lot of Kindred scaling. So here I was trying to push bot lane now, but my team is clearly about to get into a fight, or is kind of getting into a fight, so I kind of need to join up with them. Garen finally making the smart decision to split push the opposite side of the map, making it very difficult for us to come up with a good macro decision. Now here, I'm going to stealth in. Nami flashes straight into the puddle of poison. Kindred now on the other end, trying her best to kite flashes forward and dies to Seraphine. Now Garen is just trying to get the inhibitor. However, his entire team is dead. So while this is happening, we have two choices, right? Do Baron or push, right? Like, there is a world where we could push and inhib. However, with the enemy team respawns coming through, it's a little bit too risky. So probably going from Baron is the little bit of a safer play. Kindred, the jungler, is dead, so this should be, should be our Baron to take. However, Amumu is kind of low, right? So it's a little bit dangerous here. With Caitlyn and Ahri, the two carries up and alive. However, they don't actually come to contest, so we are able to pick up the Baron without very much issue. Recall. Now I get the armor penetration, the last whisper portion first because I need to be dealing with that Garen who is now getting incredibly tanky. Here we have Nami with a very weird tank build as well. So I guess in this particular case that armor pen is good for Nami as well, which is not something that usually is the case. But here now with the Baron, we want to push for inhims, right? Garen has gone the top lane inhib now as well, right? Of course, the bot lane inhib is now respawned, but we really need to be pushing for inhibs. And we need to not be pushing mid, because mid inhib is the least valuable inhib in the late game, right? Mid inhib is just not good. So here you can see, I want to push the top lane. I'm trying to ping my team to push top lane, but I make a mistake here. Which, as you can see, I cannot 1v1 Kindred, right? I'm a very horrible 1v1 champion, so Kindred is just killing me. I try to stasis, but it doesn't really help. I try to flash over to Mbessa so she can help me. Kindred is going to die, so it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade in the grand scheme of things. However, it's not a very good trade, right? I mean, it's fine, I guess, because you do trade jungle. Actually, you know what? It's a good trade, because Kindred is now dead for Elder Dragon, and so am I, but Kindred is, like, probably more valuable than me because she does have a smite. So one of Twitch's problems is, of course, he sucks at 1v1, right? He needs to team fight, right? So he cannot 1v1 the Kindred. That's the issue. Now, the enemy team is ignoring the Elder Dragon. They're going for the push. And this is a good play by the enemy team because they don't have their jungler to secure the Elder. So the best thing they can do is try to engineer a situation where we have to then recall and stop them from pushing in, which is exactly what they did. However, they were not very successful because they did end up just getting caught and dying. So Garen and Ahri are the last two alive. Garen is trying to make his escape, is making his escape. Here, I think Amumu should have the Elder Dragon. He does. And I'm just going to go top lane to clear the wave. So our team has basically been getting all of the objectives, but it's just that you can see that the game is still very even. The goal has been pretty much within like 3k range of both teams the entire game. There was a point that they were 4k ahead, but essentially the goal was just very close throughout the entire game. And yeah, here we get our fourth item, the Mole Reminder. Of course, that's good. This is going to be huge of a pickup against Garen in particular. Against Nami, he's pretty good as well in this game, as I mentioned just now. However, Mbessa overextends by a lot and ends up just getting murdered. I mean, to be fair, if she got one kill, she might reset and kill the entire enemy team. So, kind of could see where she was going with that. But, it, of course, is not really working out for her. So now a fight is breaking out in the top lane between the two teams. I'm not quite there, but my team does have Elder, so we should be in a good spot. I'm coming in from stealth so they can't see me coming. Trying to see if we can find a fight, but yeah, not really the case. Control ward is there. I'm gonna remove the control ward. Lysandra is going over to try to clear that huge, massive top wave and maybe get a push in. Elder Dragon still active. Dragon is coming up soon. Now this should be Elder Dragon into Baron. And here you can see Garen is, we're trapping in the bush. Garen gets caught out, but not really, because he's so tanky, he cannot really be murdered from this kind of, I don't know, this kind of trap play. Now we have Lysandra now on the split push instead of Garen, so Lysandra is trying to push in and forcing someone from the enemy team to come and stop her. In the meantime, we're doing the Baron. Mbessa is diving the backline. Garen is coming in with the ulti onto the Seraphine. Seraphine's stasis saves her life, allows me to pick up 2 kills. I get the resets on the Q. We're now going in. Elder has expired, but we do get the Baron. And only Caitlyn is left alive. Now Lysandra in this entire time has just been split pushing. Enemy team surrenders. And we're going to get to the enemy base just for the finishing photo. And yeah, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.